Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatley Tones Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video I'm going to be doing a review of the Band on the Run 50th anniversary half speed master album and the Underdubbed mixes album as well. I'm going to try and cram them both into the same video and hopefully not take up too much of your time. Before I do that, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all the new subscribers, people that have subscribed to the channel recently, and there's been quite a few of you because we have hit a new milestone, 4,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely unbelievable, fantastic, unbelievable but fantastic. It seems very strange that that amount of people are willing to listen to me wittering on about the Beatles, but I'm glad that you are here. I really appreciate you being here. So thank you everyone who has subscribed, not just the new subscribers but all the old subscribers as well. Thank you for being part of my channel. I do really appreciate you being here, and without you there is no channel, so thanks very much for that. Okay, so Band on the Run half speed master. So today I have got the standalone LP. This is the one that I wasn't gonna buy but ended up buying it anyway. When it was announced, I decided that I was going for the 2 LP in the slipcase and the CD. I like to buy vinyl, I like to buy CDs. I listen to them under different circumstances, and that's why I like to buy both. But that was enough. But you know, it became apparent that the 2 LP slipcase didn't have this Obi strip, the thing that they've had on all the other issues that have been part of this series. And you know, McCartney red, Ram yellow, Wildlife green, Red Rose Speedway blue, and now we've got Band on the Run with this sort of pinky orangey colour, which I think is there because of this area here. Brown, maybe? Can we call it brown? We can call it brown if we want. But so I wasn't going to buy it. You know, but then Amazon, they sent me an email. They sent me an email on the 2nd of January and said, we're selling the standalone LP for 25 quid, Tone, do you want it? And I went, yeah, all right. I couldn't resist it. And I know it's totally bonkers. But, you know, I like consistency. And, you know, I couldn't resist it. And I know it's not big. It's not clever. I know that because basically what I've done is paid 25 quid for an Obi strip, and I know all the cash grab wankers are going to be running around like headless chickens going, don't get conned. But, you know, it's my money. I can do what I want with it, really, can't I? So I went for it. Now, I'm not going to be doing an unboxing of this because you've seen the unboxing in the video for that, and it's all the same. But I will give you a look at the Obi strip close up, because I know you like that sort of thing. So there it is, the Obi strip. And honestly, there's been more talk about this Obi strip than there has been about the actual album. It's crazy. But you know, everyone's been talking about it. Actually, what I will do is one of the things that people complained about in the comments on the unboxing of this thing was that, you know, there was no lyrics to Helen Wills on the lyric sheet. So I'm just going to check to see whether there is on here. Let's have a look. Oh, there is. Oh, it is here. No, it's not. I'm lying. It's ridiculous. Why is that? If you're going to go with the American version of the album and all the words to all the other songs are there, where are the words to Helen Wills? I just don't understand it. You know, little details are important. Be consistent, and little details are important. That is just crazy. I mean, it doesn't matter because, you know, as it happens, you know, we happen to know what the lyrics are. We've known what the lyrics are to Helen Wills for the last 5 decades, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just like little details that get overlooked are somewhat annoying. Okay, So half-speed masters. Now, why am I interested in half-speed masters, or why would you be interested in half-speed masters? Well, for me, there's a couple of things. Firstly, you know, I like to have like an ongoing series to collect. So that's one thing. That's one thing. But over the last couple of years, I've done some major upgrades to my hi-fi system, and I'm probably now at that point where I'm at kind of an end game with my hi-fi. I can't really go any higher without spending, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds. And I'm very happy with what I've got at the moment. So I'm kind of there with that. And, you know, I want to listen to these albums that I love so much in the best possible sound quality. And, you know, I think from what I've heard of the series so far, I'm fairly convinced that, you know, for the first 4 albums, there has been a significant change in the sound quality, mainly with the sound stage of where the instruments are placed in the sound stage of the albums. But I think that it was very evident on, you know, McCartney, Ram, Wildlife, less so on Red Rose Speedway. And with Band on the Run, I think it's even less so. I want to give an honest opinion and an honest review of this. And I'm not going to, you know, I don't want it to be like the Emperor's New Clothes sort of thing. And I think that I think this could be a kind of trend, because, you know, as the years go by, you know, recording techniques get better and better, and I'm thinking maybe we're seeing like diminishing returns with how much better a half-speed master will be. You know, maybe when we get Venus and Mars next year, that will be even, you know, a more of a subtle change than even Band on the Run. So with Band on the Run, you know, I've always thought that Band on the Run is a superbly recorded album. It just sounds fantastic. And so I've listened to this half-speed master, and yes, it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing, but amazing is relative, okay? So I've kind of compared it with other versions of Band on the Run that I've got. So this one is the 2010, the remaster, the Archive Collection remaster, which is a brilliant remaster. Sounds really, really good. Sounds really, really good. I think the half-speed master sounds better than this, but this one still sounds brilliant anyway. But I also compared it against this, which is my original copy from the 70s. Now, I bought this in 1976, and when I bought it in 76, it was second hand then, and I'd never cleaned it or anything like that. So I gave it a clean, and I put it on and listened to it. It was the first time that I'd heard it on my new gear, and it just sounded absolutely amazing. And I think that this sounds better than this half-speed master. I mean, I'll go into it in a minute, but I couldn't believe how good this sounded. And I'm not sure if it's, you know, it's an analog versus digital thing, or it just sounded really good. Now, obviously, sound quality is a subjective thing. It depends. There's so many variables. And you know, one of the variables is what you listen to it on your hi-fi. Obviously, makes a difference. And the other thing is your ears. You know, everybody's ears are different. Everyone's hi-fi is different. So, you know, different people are going to hear different things. And for me, if I'm giving an honest opinion about this, I would still choose this as probably my go-to copy of Band on the Run. But as I say, the half-speed master, it does sound fantastic. I think the things that benefit most on this half-speed master are the non-rock songs. So songs like Bluebird, Pneumonia, Picasso's Last Words are the main beneficiaries of this half-speed master for me, because there's more space there. And what I think really gets improved is things like percussion, so hi-hats, cymbals. They sound absolutely beautiful and spot on. Acoustic guitars, harmonies, especially high harmonies, they come over beautifully on this half-speed master. And one of the things that I think that that sways me towards my old version, my 70s version of Band on the Run, is there seems to be a smoothing out, a leveling out of the bass on this half-speed master. I mean, it's not low in the mix or anything like that. The mix levels haven't changed at all, but it just seems to be a little bit smoother. And I quite like how robust the bass is on this version, this old 70s version of Band on the Run. And that's one of the things that is sort of swaying me towards my analog version of it. It's quite difficult trying to compare one record with another, and quite time consuming as well, because obviously you listen to one, a track on one pressing, then you have to swap the record over, listen to the same track on another pressing, and try and work out where the differences are, what has changed, and that takes quite a bit of time. It's much easier to do the same thing with CDs, two CDs, to click in and out of files. And although I don't think that anyone is going to be disappointed with this half-speed master, I think we are maybe at that point of diminishing returns as recording techniques in the 70s improved. I think we can expect less improvement from these half-speed masters as we go through. And because sound is so subjective, I think that you have to make your own mind up about whether this half-speed master is sounds better than something that you already own. You need to listen to it in your room, on your hi-fi, with your ears, and make your own mind up. And that is what I've done. And as I say, I do want to give an honest opinion about this. And for me, my 70s pressing it sounds more exciting to me, and this would be my go-to. So I'm saying that this 70s pressing is probably the best version of Band on the Run that I own, but the half-speed master is a pretty close second. Onto the underdubbed mixes, and seeing as Beatles fans will find anything to moan about, but I think generally I think that the opinion on these underdubbed mixes is generally favourable. People are glad to have them, and of course they are, because back in the old days, the dark old days of the 70s, you could only get this sort of stuff on bootlegs, badly recorded, sounding terrible. And now we're getting them on an album like this, but not just an album like this. All the Beatles deluxe box sets have had sessions albums and outtakes and stuff like that. And as I say, you could only ever get this sort of stuff on bootlegs in the old days. Under the table shenanigans had to take place before you got your hands on this sort of stuff. And here it is being offered to all and sundry. You can just go and buy it now, and that has got to be better. It's got to be better, because we're now getting all this stuff in superb sound quality. What is there really to complain about? I mean, the thing that people will complain about is, well, do we really need them? And the answer's no, you don't really need them. It depends on how deep you want to go into these albums. If you want to hear how these songs sort of started off life, or shortly after them starting off life in this case, then you want to listen. Are they better than the final versions? No, of course they're not. That's why they're outtakes. That's why they were left off. That's why things were added to them. Of course they're not better than the final version. And people might say, well, if they're not better, why do we want them? And that is a valid argument. And the argument is, it just depends on how interested you are and to hear how these songs, started off life. And I think that we've kind of now got used to wanting to go a little bit deeper, or most of us have. But I think that the underdubbed mixes have caused a little bit of confusion. I've heard someone say, "Oh, yeah, but it's just the album, but not finished." Well, yes, that is exactly what it is. But we knew that was, you had to read the small print. That is what it is. So these are early takes. This is Jeff Emmerich's take, his mixes from the 14th of October 1973, before the orchestration went on, before other overdubs, lead guitars, harmonies, lots of other things. Some of these songs don't have the original, the final lead vocal on them. Some do, but some don't. And I think that I think Underdubbed was probably the wrong title. On the album, they call them rough mixes, and that is a much better description. If they called them rough mixes, I think people might have known what they were getting. I think that this has for people that are not happy with this, I think they probably were expecting something that was never on offer. But when you approach material from a point of view, well, that's missing and that's missing. Oh, I can hear that bit's missing. Then you're kind of coming at it from the wrong angle. I think the angle that I'm coming from on these is, without the orchestration, what have these mixes revealed that we don't generally hear because of the orchestration? Because the sound on the final album is, so much more full. So there's a few things. So back the track band on the run, I think the first 2 minutes are exactly as it is on the record at 2 minutes 06, where the orchestra would come in, the horns come in, da 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 da. That bit obviously is not there, but what you do hear is you hear the guitars playing that riff, and you don't really hear that on the final version. From that point to the end of the song, it is a different lead vocal to the one we get on the album. And there's a bit where Paul is about to sing the verse that starts in The Undertaker, where he comes in probably quite a few bars too early and just about stops himself on the word "and," which is quite nice to hear. And we also hear him sort of singing lead guitar breaks. So he's got it in his head where he wants the lead guitars and what they are to play. Pneumonia, I thought, was pretty much as it was on the record. It is the final lead vocal there. No Words is a song that I think has grown in stature as far as I'm concerned, listening to this not the Underdub, but just having listened to the half speed master and generally listening to this album quite a bit over the last few days. It is the song that caused the argument that caused Henry McCulloch to leave the band, because Paul wanted the guitar played in a certain way. It is I believe that the final lead vocals are on this Underdubbed mix, but there are little bits of subtle lead guitar that I hadn't noticed before. And the thing that I really noticed on this song is Paul thrashing away at the cymbals on the drum kit in this song, and I hadn't really noticed that before. But he's really going for it. And when I went to the finished version, I can hear it. I can hear that thrashing. It's pared down a little bit on the final version. It's a bit lower in the mix, but on this mix you can really hear it. Jet, hear piano on the intro. Dan dan dan. Hear the piano in there. Also, you get a really good listen to Paul's tom-tom work on the drums during this song. He leaves gaps for, there's gaps in the song where the keyboard solo is going to get dropped into, and again he sings that instrumental ending. So he's got it in his head, what's going to go there. They're just not ready to do it yet. When we get on to Bluebird, I think that we've got the final lead vocal on the Underdubbed mixes, but it sounds to me like Jeff Emerick has put quite a lot of reverb on Paul's voice on this particular mix that we don't get on the final version. The main takeaway for me for Bluebird is the gap where Howard Casey's sax solo should be. There is underpinning that there is some beautiful bass playing from Paul, and because the sax solo is so integral to that song, when you listen to the song, you are automatically drawn towards listening to this fantastic sax solo. Maybe you're missing what Paul is playing underneath it here, where the sax is missing. You get a good listen to it. Mrs. Vanderbilt, nothing really sort of stuck out for me on Mrs. Vanderbilt. 1985 is an instrumental version of it. It's an interesting one. because you've got the oohs and ahs, which on the lyric sheet are, you know, denoted as being the interludes. They are there with the piano, but basically this song is, you know, it's fully instrumental. It's the karaoke version of 1985, so you can sing along with it. The thing that really stuck out for me on this is that I think it's a synthesizer noise that goes meow, meow, and it is relentless throughout this song. And on the where you don't have, you know, vocals and other orchestration and that sort of thing, it really sort of sticks out like a sore thumb, and it is relentless, and it does grate a little bit after a while. But I do really like this version of 1985, the instrumental version. Interestingly, at the end of 1985, you can quite clearly hear that the you know, the sax, is it a sax or is it a clarinet? I'm not sure. It might be like a, you know, like soprano sax or a clarinet that's going absolutely crazy at the end of 1985. That was obviously recorded with the African musicians in Lagos, so that is part of that mix. So that is 1985. Picasso's Last Words, loads and loads of overdubs missing from this particular track. But what it actually does reveal, I did notice there's some nice little lead guitar parts that I hadn't really noticed before that are sort of buried in there somewhere. Paul's bass solo, it's not something that's, you know, just being revealed by this. You can quite clearly hear it on the, you know, on the final record. But it's quite nice here to have it sort of uncluttered in a little bit of space, so you get a good listen to what Paul is playing during that bass solo. I did like that. And at the end of the song, Paul does a little bit of scat singing the song Deo, which you hear on this underdubbed mixes, which was actually cut from the final version, so that doesn't appear on the record, but we do hear it here. Let Me Roll It is one of two songs, I think there was two songs, Let Me Roll It and Mammonia, which don't have orchestration on them. They do have overdubs, but they don't have orchestration. And to be honest, you know, I couldn't really, there's nothing really to say about Let Me Roll It. It didn't reveal anything new to me. So who is going to be interested in these underdubbed mixes? Well, I think if you're a collector of bootlegs and you've been collecting bootlegs to hear alternate versions of songs that have become very familiar to you, then you're probably going to be interested in these mixes. You might even have them in, you know, maybe in not in such great sound quality as they're delivered here, but you may already have them in your collection. People that enjoyed Anthology. I mean, Anthology is full of unfinished songs, you know, songs that go wrong, and you know, outtakes and stuff like that. People that are buying the Beatles Super Deluxe box sets to get the sessions and the outtakes and the demos, LPs that come with it. That is what this is. You know, it's similar to that sort of thing. So people that are buying those box sets to hear that stuff, then, you know, this is probably going to appeal to them. Is it essential? No, it's not. Oh, isn't it really annoying? Isn't it really annoying when someone asks a question and then he answers his own question? I've got to stop doing that. But they're not essential, and you probably won't go back to these these versions very often, because they're not as good as the final version. That's the whole point. That's why they are outtakes or early mixes or rough mixes or whatever you want to call them, underdubbed mixes. They're not as good as the finished version, but interesting to hear the very embryos of these songs. And it's all about how deep you want to go into an album. If you're satisfied with the final album, that's as far as you want to go with this album, that is absolutely perfectly acceptable and perfectly logical. Not everyone does want to go deep into these albums. I mean, I like to hear them. I'm interested to hear them, and I like to own them. And that's why I've bought it. But, you know, I probably won't go back to them that often. But having said that, I've listened to this underdubbed album more times already than I've listened to the Sessions albums that came with the Revolver box set, for example. So there is that. Now, the underdub mixes have kind of raised, a question, and the question being is, why weren't these included on the archive edition of Band on the Run back in 2010? And I don't know the answer. I can only speculate about the answer. And if I was trying to answer that question, I would say, Band on the Run was the first of the archive editions, and they probably didn't know exactly where they were going with the series at that point. They kind of stuck to completed songs. So we got, A-sides and B-sides, Helen Wheels and Country Dreamer, Zoo Gang, and some stuff from One Hand Clapping as as additional bonus audio material on that album. They weren't being that ambitious, not as ambitious as they got later in the series. So maybe sort of unfinished takes, what wasn't within scope at that particular point. And later on in the series, they did decide to include sort of demos and, alternative versions. Maybe back in 2010, they, at the start of the series, they hadn't really sort of thought it through properly, or, thought that they would just give completed songs as part of the bonus audio. That could be the reason. The other question that has been raised is, what about the demos that they recorded in Scotland with Henry and Denny Sywell when they were still in the band, and where are they? The master tapes of those, apparently exist somewhere. Whether Paul knows the location of them, we don't know. Whether anyone at MPL knows the location of them, we don't know. Are they any good? We don't know. It's possible that they're not that good, because while they were being recorded, Henry left the band. He fell out with Paul, about how he was, Paul wanted to play his guitar at certain guitar parts on the song No Words. Henry wanted to do his own thing. Paul didn't want him to do it, so off he flounced. So if Henry wasn't in the best of frame of mind, they might not even be that good. We don't know, but we'd still like to hear them, even if we can. If we can hear them just so we can say they were shit. But because that's what we like to do. But that would have been something that we would have welcomed, I think, probably more than these underdubbed mixes, maybe. One thing I've noticed is the 2LP version is already having to have stocks replenished at paulmccartney.com. They haven't printed enough. They underestimated the demand, which just goes to show that if you give us something that we haven't had before, and you price it about right, then we are going to buy it, and there is a lesson there to be learned. Let's talk about the pricing. The 2 CD version is about $15.99, I think, in the UK, which I thought was a very good price for two CDs. One question that was asked, was something that I mentioned in the unboxing video about the main album, the Band on the Run album, where I said that I believed that this was the 2010 archive edition remastered version. That is 100% correct. That has been confirmed. I did mention it in the video, but someone asked me to confirm it. It does say it sort of up here that disc 1, mixed by Jeff Emerick at Kingsway Studios in London in October 1973, published by MPL Communications 2010. So the Band on the Run album that comes with it, obviously this is not a half-speed remaster because that doesn't apply to CD. This is the archive edition, so you may already have that, but $15.99 I think is a good price. Now, when we come to the LP version, 53 quid, and we kind of get our heads in a place where we are totally accepting that LPs now cost 30 quid plus. You get a double LP for under 60 quid, then your quid's in, right? I think that they've just about got the pricing right. 53 quid for a double album, it's okay, but just let that sink in, that we are accepting that vinyl is £30 plus for an album, and that is just ridiculous. One thing that people asked about was, or mentioned on the comments of the unboxing, was the slipcase, and the fact that it's so difficult to get the LPs back into the slipcase because the gap's not very wide. So if you put the Band on the Run album in first and then try and put the Underdubbed album in, it sticks out. It sticks out like that. But if you put the Underdubbed album in first and then put Band on the Run in like that, it fits perfectly. We shouldn't have to do that, but it is what it is. So my overall thoughts about the Underdubbed album is, firstly, I'm pleased to get something that we haven't had before. But overall, I think that the versions that we get on here are not different enough to maintain sustained interest over a long period of time. I think they will sort of fall off the radar once they become old. But like Venus and Mars, they're all right. They're all right. But if like most people, I would have preferred the next release to have been something from the archive collection rather than this. Interesting to note that both the Half Speed Master and the Underdubbed album were put together in February 2023, so they are a year old already. They were put together a year ago. This isn't something that has just been worked on, which means that there's a big gap in 2023 where they may have been working on things that we don't yet know about, and that will probably be revealed at some point, if it even exists and isn't a figment of my imagination. Anyway, that is what I think of it. Doesn't really matter what I think. I'd love to know what you think about it. Please tell me down in the comments what you think of the Half Speed Master and the Underdubbed album. Love to hear from you. I read all your comments and I will respond to them all. If you want to do me a big favour, please just take 1 second of your life, give the video a thumbs up. It really does help the channel if you give the video a like. It shows engagement. So please just take 1 second just to do that and help me get the video out there. It helps to grow the channel. Would really appreciate that. If you have just stumbled across this channel by complete accident for the first time and you fancy getting involved, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing. There's a sort of a button over here somewhere, and there's like an avatar that comes up over here somewhere at the end of the video that you can click on, or there's just an old-fashioned subscribe button down below that you can hit. It is of course free to subscribe, so I'd love to have you on board, so please consider subscribing. Plus you get Beatly Tone's promise that you will not have any adverts in the middle of any of my videos on this channel. I don't allow YouTube to put adverts in the middle of my videos, so none of these videos are interrupted with adverts about implements that help you shave your legs or holidays in Dubai or that sort of thing. Although you may enjoy a break from me at some point, especially when the video goes on this long, but you're not going to get one because there's no adverts in the middle of videos on this channel, so you can watch the whole thing from start to finish without interruption. Okay, that is it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.